Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Bottom right hand corner we have Doodle as the blue Protoss. Upper left hand corner we have RTG. Almost looks like with this orange color, looks like it's brown, but it's orange. It's orange. RTG as the orange Terran. One game apiece from these guys. This is going to be on Polypoid. And this is Hasuleague from BSL 12. These are the closing matches of the round of 8. One of these guys will end up facing either Master Ray Dreamer or Zeddy in the round of 4. This being Polypoid, 4-player map, more macro-oriented, and seeing what I saw in Game 2, I think this might be a map that favors Doodle overall. RTG seemed to have a lot of trouble after his initial map control game did not pan out. Was way behind on upgrades overall. And just didn't seem like he could kind of muster. I mean, it just felt like he was not just a step behind, but several steps behind on Blue Storm from that point on. This is Polypoid, which is, first of all, it's a ladder map. So RTG might be more familiar with it. It's not one of those old school ones. So we might have more of a cohesive plan. We'll see. Cross spawns. Also, and it looks like we are not seeing, for a moment I was going to comment on the potentiality of a 12 Nexus cross spawn on this map. It's been a popular strong build. Gateway and Assimilator immediately, so probably not initial Zealot. Looks like Doodle's going to be scouting clockwise and coming across RTG space. Second, it looks like RTG is also scouting clockwise. Is he actually going to go for a cross scout? That would be huge. He is going to go for a cross map scout, which some players do occasionally, and that's going to pay off. Going to find Doodle's base immediately. Getting his refinery up. Wanted to call it a simulator for a second. And the barracks. Now here's the thing. RTG, in a lot of these matches thus far, he's had those timing attacks that have won him matches, positionally. This is a larger map to try to execute one of those timing attacks. But I'm wondering if he is going to opt for one of those creative attacks that we've seen a lot of, honestly, recently. It looks like perhaps not, because he has already pulled just a single SCV-2 gas to get a faster command center to follow that factory. And just an initial 2 Marines. Dragoon on the way. And range. SCV going ahead and pulling out after seeing that there wasn't Dispelled Nexus. Doodle. Okay, Doodle tried to get creative there. And I think he went to that upper right-hand corner initially, thinking, okay, well, that SCV scout came in across. And so not only did that cross-position scout pay off, and the fact that he got early scouting information, it also confused this probe. So he's going to see the 3 Marines, but have very little information otherwise, which is a very uncomfortable position for Doodle. Might force a robotics facility, either 1-gate or 2-gate robo, into Observer. And a nice position for RTG if he wanted to do something interesting. Factory is up. He's producing an initial Vulture, of all things, with no machine shop. Perhaps to go ahead and scoot out. And I'm wondering if he's trying to convey false information here to Doodle. Doodle sneaking down. He's going to go ahead and actually just go 1-gate Dragoon range into expansion, which is very ballsy, I have to say, considering he has no scouting information. Command center being built on the low ground. Machine shop up, 3 Marines in the bunker, and yeah, the Vulture trying to sneak out. And this is almost just like telegraphing to Doodle, hey, I do have Vultures. A bit. Sneaking out. Coming across that third, and I think is he just going to show this? Maybe he just wants to get mines and try to box out, get an early box out? No, probably not. Perhaps just wants to deny these probe scouts. Kind of a clever play. So now, Doodle sees the Vulture on that front field, is still in the dark. And regardless, he is refusing to build a robotics facility. 2 gateways and a Citadel of Adun. Is he going to build a robo immediately to follow? Perhaps to do a drop? Natural expansion. is up. We're still sitting on one base for RTG. He's now investing in mines and getting a starport off one base. Usually you see starport off 2 factory. Here's the thing. There's only a single siege tank. Sneaking up with that vulture, taking a bit of damage. I think he got eyes on that nexus. But he hasn't built a second factory even. Is this going to be Wraith? I'm curious if he's going to go drops. I'm a little bit concerned for RTG going drops off just one factory. He's also getting an engineering bay very early, respecting potential Dark Templar. There's the Templar Archives warping in. We do have that robotics facility. He's producing some initial Marines, and yeah, we're going Wraith. Wraith to start. So perhaps concerned, so really wants to cut off any potential for drops. Also has the mines in place to deal with any sort of Dark Templar drop. I think he was thinking, okay, potentially Reaver coming at me, something along those lines. But here's the thing, the investment in this is actually great play from RTG because it is going to go directly against what Doodle's doing. Because Doodle, I think, showed in Game 2 and in Game 1 that he was going to go Troop Light and try to press Dark Templar in tech. And that is exactly what RTG can sneak here with a lower siege tank count and this Wraith. Because he can rely on the fact that Doodle's not producing additional Dragoons or Zealots or anything along those lines to be aggressive. And isn't pressing his front door, so he can keep the siege tank count a little bit lower, sneak out the Wraith, and potentially pick off a shuttle or Wraith. And I take it back to base Stargate, and now additional gateways being plopped down. And this Wraith is actually going to serve like a Corsair at this stage, if it goes towards the main, to scout all of this information. Shuttle coming across. Oh, unfortunately. So Shuttle moving across with the Dark Templar. That Wraith should be able to intercept it. I think it's hoping for a Reaver. Vultures are there to intercept. That's going to force an unload. And now he knows at least, okay, it's Dark Templar tech. RTG going to be able to sit back on his economy. I think he needs to wind... Really, the critical thing is does that Wraith get back into the main and scout? He has not built any comsat. This almost reminds me of a old school build on Python. Way back in the day. 2-base Arbiter. The Wraith on that corner. This is going to be huge. Does he scoot in and sees it? He sees it all. Sees all bits of tech, sees the Stargate, and might even get some probe kills on top of everything else. This is huge. Wandering across, doesn't have cloak, does get taken out, but that Wraith was worth its weight in gold. RTG scooting forward with the siege tank. Honestly, I think this is one of those moments. Because he built that Wraith and because he went so much lighter on those factories, he's not going to have an opportunity to go for a punishment. Take an additional base. RTG finding the expansion that's attempting to be taken by Doodle here at the 6 o'clock. Doodle playing very aggressively economically here. Not sure how he's getting the sense that perhaps seeing that Wraith, he's like, okay, he obviously went Starport. That's going to keep that factory count lower. I'm going to go ahead and take that 6 o'clock base, knowing that his troop count's going to be lighter perhaps. Dark Templar moving in. Great mind drag into those siege tanks before backing out. But also RTG opting to go ahead and build a command center to get a quick third. Weapons 1 about halfway there. And again, not opting to go for... Doodle does get an eye on that command center, so knows what he's up against. I'm concerned that despite everything that was spotted, that RTG is essentially playing right into Doodle's hands. Because Doodle's going to get that Arbiter out. He has 4 gateways to produce. This is going to be a lot of territory to try to defend. I don't see a science vessel out just yet. That dropship loading up with 2 vultures right underneath that Dark Templar, so that a Dark Templar sees the dropship and the vultures as well. And now a bunch of SCVs and tanks moving forward to go ahead and take, comsatting. Able to take that Dark Templar out and establish that high ground. But this is going to be a lot of territory to try to deal with. with an Arbiter in the air and potential, I don't know, recalls, things along those lines. An additional gateway being placed down. 6 o'clock base coming online. Dragoons moving forward, maybe to catch this dropship out in the field. A lot of siege tanks on that high ground, but this is leaving that main basically exposed. It is 3 base versus 3 base, but the tech advantage is certainly in Doodle's favor. Supply count just about even, though. Vulture getting caught right there. Some Dragoons really, yeah, they would die instantaneously moving up here. That Observer has to see that. Now the dropship making its way down. Right now, Doodle, he saw that dropship. Okay, he does have Dragoons in position to go ahead and engage the siege tank and 2 vultures. Question is can he get through his own Sim City to engage it? So there the dropship sneaking in that bottom right-hand corner. There is a cannon, but they're dropping off that bottom right, and this is going to be difficult for the Dragoons to get back to deal with this. And kind of an A move from Doodle to try to clear some mines, and they're just going to get wiped out by tanks upon that distractionary attack. Vulture dropped off, actually cleaned up that attack force pretty well, but lost a handful of Dragoons simultaneously, perhaps because of that distraction. Arbiter holding that forward ground. Still 3 bases for Doodle. He snuck a little bit ahead, about 10 supply, which basically puts it about even. Inside RTG's base, he does have those 2 machine shops, is now getting 4 additional factories, and is working on weapons too. Still no second armory. Now that armory is coming from him, moving out some of those vultures to go ahead and engage. An RTG might be able to sneak out with these vultures and find that, just going to comsat and find that mineral only. Does have an opportunity while these pylons are warping in, perhaps to get some damage done there. Arbiter moving forward. I think even with the Arbiter and these Dragoons, with that turret, this is so many siege tanks to engage across that mineral only. And he probably wants to peel back to go ahead and clear this out. A lot of Zealots and a Dragoon getting wiped out by those mines, but not a lot else accomplished. Doodle sitting on what looks like 8 gateways of his own, and already has Arbiter established, is working on recall right this moment, is going to have plenty of energy to do so. About halfway there. So he can get like kind of a pinpoint drop out into the main, potentially. The question is how much damage can he do to follow that up? He's getting his 4th base, but there's already a 4th base being established from RTG. RTG showing that he can macro. Observer kind of seeing where the army troop placement is here. Here's the thing with this map. If there was a recall in the main, there's just, you got to go back so far to try to deal with it. RTG realizing this, planting all sorts of mines and turrets in this back corner. Also researching EMP. So it is turning into a long-term macroeconomic game. I like what RTG's done in the meantime. He's planted, it looks like a handful of mines at most of these expansions, and just camping vultures there otherwise for when Doodle tries to take an additional base. Doodle, level 1 weapons, but also has snuck up to 182 supply. Still about 20 supply ahead, which is, again, about even, but on these engagements, he's engaging uphill, and he's going to have to be very, very careful with it. I don't know that he has stasis upgraded. Losing another Dragoon on the low ground. He's got to basically run uphill into a lot of siege tanks. Stasis is a lot of vultures that honestly might get in the way of these Zealots. Another good stasis, however, on the back line over those siege tanks. And that back-end stasis is allowing those Zealots to just wander straight up on top of those siege tanks. And RTG is trying to flood out reinforcements that he had at the 12 o'clock to clean this up. But this army is just running over everything. Some nice pocket stasis to mitigate that army. RTG trying to siege up on the low ground. The Zealots actually already there. Group prepare on that command center to try to keep it alive. So once this army gets cleaned up, if this army gets cleaned up, he can clean it up. But I think RTG realizing he just doesn't have the tech. He didn't have the raw army to push back the Dragoons. Wasn't able to reclaim his mineral only. And that's going to be GG. Doodle out macroing RTG. Just punishing. So Doodle now up 2 games to 1, and we were moving in to match 4.